Public confidence wanes as Paetongtarn Shinawatra faces short-term and long-term economic challenges amid Thaksin's influence. Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra, like her predecessors, faces a range of short-term and long-term problems, as well as structural economic issues in Thailand. These challenges are shaped by both domestic and international factors. Based on current economic trends and issues, here are some key challenges. Short-term problems. Economic recovery from COVID-19. While Thailand's economy is recovering, the pandemic left long-lasting impacts, particularly in tourism, which accounts for a significant portion of GDP. The government must manage reopening efforts, boost confidence in safety measures, and support struggling sectors. Inflation and rising cost of living. Thailand has experienced rising inflation due to global supply chain disruptions and increased fuel prices. Managing inflation and keeping costs of essential goods affordable is an immediate challenge. Political stability. The country has been marked by political unrest and protests, particularly from youth and pro-democracy groups. These movements could pose challenges to governance and may impact foreign investment confidence. Inequality and labor market. The pandemic widened income inequality, particularly affecting lower-income households. There is also concern about underemployment and the quality of jobs available, especially in rural areas. Foreign investment and investor confidence. Thailand faces stiff competition from other Southeast Asian countries like Vietnam and Indonesia for foreign direct investment, FDI. The government must create a conducive business environment to attract investors. Long-term problems. Aging population. Thailand's population is aging rapidly, and this demographic shift threatens long-term economic growth. There will be a shrinking labor force, increased healthcare costs, and greater pressure on the pension system. Environmental issues and climate change. Thailand is vulnerable to climate change, particularly in terms of flooding, rising sea levels, and unpredictable weather patterns. Agriculture, a key sector of the economy, is heavily impacted by these changes. Over-reliance on tourism. The Thai economy has historically been overly reliant on tourism. While it's a crucial part of GDP, the pandemic revealed the risks of such dependency. Diversifying the economy, particularly into tech, green industries, and manufacturing, is a priority for long-term stability. Income inequality. The wealth gap in Thailand is significant, with wealth concentrated in urban areas, particularly Bangkok. Rural regions lag in economic development, contributing to social and political tensions. Addressing regional disparities is a long-term challenge. Corruption and governance issues. Thailand has long-standing issues with corruption, which affects economic growth and investor confidence. Structural reforms to improve transparency and governance are necessary but difficult to implement due to entrenched interests. Structural economic issues. Education and skills mismatch. The Thai education system does not fully prepare graduates for the modern labor market. There is a mismatch between the skills taught and the skills needed for a high-tech economy, resulting in underemployment and a shortage of highly skilled labor. Infrastructure development. While Bangkok and other major cities are relatively well developed, rural areas still lack adequate infrastructure. This discrepancy hampers economic development and deepens inequality between urban and rural regions. Public debt. Thailand's public debt has risen, particularly due to spending during the pandemic to support the economy. Managing this debt while continuing to invest in infrastructure and social programs will require careful economic planning. Trade dependency. Thailand is heavily dependent on exports, especially electronics, agriculture, and automotive products. This makes the country vulnerable to global economic shifts, trade wars, and supply chain disruptions. Energy dependence. Thailand is a net importer of energy, particularly oil and natural gas. Volatility in global energy markets can destabilize the economy. The transition to renewable energy sources is slow, despite long-term benefits for energy security. These short-term and long-term problems, combined with the structural economic challenges, require comprehensive policy solutions to ensure sustainable economic growth and stability in Thailand. Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatра's policy statement on September 12, 2024, addresses many of Thailand's domestic and international challenges, and it demonstrates a forward-thinking approach to pressing economic and social issues. Here's an analysis based on current economic trends and issues. Strengths of the policy statement. Household debt and debt restructuring. Addressing household debt through debt restructuring is a critical measure. Thailand's household debt levels have been rising, leading to financial strain on families. Debt restructuring can help alleviate the financial burden while keeping the economy stable, though it will need careful implementation to avoid long-term fiscal risks. Support for SMEs and entrepreneurs. The emphasis on supporting SMEs, especially through liquidity measures, is a positive step. Small businesses form the backbone of Thailand's economy, yet they often struggle with access to credit. Enhancing SME growth and digitalizing their operations can improve competitiveness in the region. Reducing energy prices and public utilities. High energy prices are a common concern, especially in the face of global market fluctuations. Reducing these costs could stimulate domestic spending, ease inflationary pressure, and support industry growth. However, balancing this with sustainable energy policies is key for long-term success. Modernizing agriculture. Transitioning traditional agriculture into market-driven, innovation-led agriculture is essential for economic growth. Thai agriculture has historically faced low productivity, but policies that add value to agricultural products can boost farmers' incomes and revitalize rural economies. Tourism promotion. Given Thailand's reliance on tourism, enhancing this sector is essential. Encouraging more diverse forms of tourism, e.g., ecotourism, wellness tourism, can help address the over-reliance on mass tourism while promoting long-term sustainability. Tackling crime and online threats. The focus on reducing online crime, transnational crime, and drugs aligns well with growing concerns about public safety and security. These problems not only affect Thai citizens but also deter foreign investment and tourism. Green and digital economies. Promoting the green economy and digital economy fits global trends towards sustainability and technology. Aligning with international efforts to mitigate climate change and boost digital innovation will enhance Thailand's global competitiveness. Healthcare and wellness economy. Developing Thailand as a medical hub is a strategic move, leveraging the country's existing strengths in healthcare. As healthcare becomes a global priority, Thailand can further attract international patients and tourists. Challenges and considerations. Aging population. While the policy mentions developing social welfare to address the aging population, more details on long-term healthcare and pension reforms are needed. Thailand is aging rapidly, and the financial burden on the state will grow without comprehensive reforms. Transition to electric vehicles. The shift from internal combustion engines to electric vehicles, EVs, is critical to reducing Thailand's carbon emissions and staying competitive in the global automotive industry. However, the transition requires substantial investment in infrastructure, e.g., EV charging stations, and workforce reskilling. Tax restructuring. The major tax restructuring proposal, aimed at income distribution, must be carefully managed to avoid harming middle-income earners or deterring foreign investment. Balancing progressive tax reforms with economic growth will be key. Environmental sustainability and climate change. Thailand is highly vulnerable to climate change, especially regarding floods and rising sea levels. While the green economy is a priority, stronger actions in climate adaptation, such as infrastructure development for flood protection, will be necessary to protect agriculture, tourism, and other sectors. International factors and trade dependency. Thailand is dependent on international trade, particularly in exports. Global supply chain disruptions, trade tensions, and geopolitical risks can easily destabilize the economy. While proactive economic diplomacy is a positive step, the government will need to focus on economic diversification to reduce this dependency. Conclusion. The policy statement reflects a solid understanding of the key issues Thailand faces, and its mix of short and long-term policies aims to address economic, social, and environmental challenges. However, implementation will be crucial, particularly in areas requiring structural reform like the aging population, income inequality, climate resilience, and international competitiveness. Achieving these goals will require strong governance, political stability, and effective public-private collaboration. While Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatра's policy statement addresses several important issues, there are potential drawbacks and challenges to the proposed policies. Here are some key concerns. 1. Debt restructuring risks. While debt restructuring aims to alleviate household debt, there's a risk of moral hazard where borrowers might feel less responsible for repaying loans, expecting future relief. If not carefully managed, this could also lead to an increased fiscal burden on the government or financial institutions, potentially destabilizing the banking system. The restructuring of the whole system could delay necessary structural reforms in areas like consumer behavior and credit management. Without tackling the root causes of high household debt, the problem may re-emerge in the future. 2. Reducing energy prices. Reducing energy prices may conflict with the government's goals for environmental sustainability. Lowering energy prices, especially for fossil fuels, could discourage energy conservation efforts and slow down the transition to renewable energy sources. Subsidizing energy or public utilities might strain public finances. If the government reduces prices through subsidies, it could lead to higher public debt and reduce resources available for other critical projects like infrastructure or healthcare. 3. Informal economy taxation. Bringing the informal economy into the tax system is a necessary reform, but it could be difficult to enforce. The informal economy in Thailand is vast, and sudden taxation could drive smaller businesses further underground or cause them to struggle with compliance. Pushing too hard to formalize the informal sector without providing support mechanisms, such as financial education or access to affordable loans, could harm low-income workers and small business owners who rely on the informal economy for their livelihoods. 4. Stimulating the economy with the digital wallet scheme. The digital wallet scheme to stimulate the economy, while innovative, raises concerns about potential inefficiency. The distribution and management of such schemes could be prone to corruption or mismanagement, especially if there is insufficient oversight. There's also the risk of short-term boosts in consumption without addressing underlying structural issues. The scheme might only provide a temporary economic boost, leaving the economy vulnerable once the stimulus wears off. 5. Agricultural modernization challenges. While modernizing agriculture is important, farmers in Thailand may struggle to adapt to the shift toward market-driven innovation and technology. Many small-scale farmers lack access to the necessary resources, training, or infrastructure to fully benefit from modernization efforts. The cost of modernization could also become a burden on the state or small farmers, potentially widening the gap between large agricultural enterprises and small-scale farmers. 6. Tourism promotion and over-reliance. While tourism promotion is necessary, the policy risks reinforcing Thailand's over-reliance on the tourism sector, which has proven vulnerable to global crises like the COVID-19 pandemic. The plan lacks specifics on diversifying the economy beyond tourism. Focusing too heavily on tourism without addressing issues like over-tourism or environmental degradation in popular tourist spots could lead to long-term harm to both the environment and the country's image. 7. Lack of detail on aging population solutions. While the statement addresses the aging population, it lacks specifics on how to reform pension systems, healthcare, or labor market policies to mitigate the long-term impacts. Without a detailed plan, there's a risk that this growing demographic challenge will continue to strain public services. The policy mentions enhancing social welfare but doesn't fully address the potential fiscal strain that aging will place on the healthcare system and pension schemes. 8. Electric vehicle transition costs. The transition from internal combustion engines to electric vehicles, EVs, is critical for environmental sustainability, but it could place a heavy financial burden on traditional automotive industries and workers. The shift will require significant investment in infrastructure, like charging stations, and retraining of the workforce, which may face resistance from industry stakeholders. The speed of this transition may also outpace the ability of local industries to adapt, potentially leading to job losses in the traditional automotive sector if not managed carefully. 9. Crime and drug problems. The policies focus on addressing drugs and crime lack specifics on preventive measures. It emphasizes tackling crime head-on but doesn't mention deeper structural reforms, such as improving education, creating more job opportunities, or enhancing community engagement, which could help address the root causes of drug addiction and crime. A heavy-handed approach to crime and drug issues could lead to human rights concerns, as has been seen in past Thai government's drug crackdowns. 10. Tax restructuring and income distribution. Tax restructuring to enhance income distribution is crucial, but it may face political resistance, particularly from wealthier sectors of society. If the reforms are too aggressive, they could drive businesses or high-net-worth individuals to move assets out of Thailand, reducing overall tax revenues. The policy could also be perceived as focusing too much on redistribution and not enough on creating opportunities for wealth generation, which could lead to slower economic growth in the long run. Conclusion. While Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatра's policy statement is ambitious and tackles several critical issues, its success will depend heavily on execution. The risks include potential fiscal strain, a reliance on short-term solutions without addressing deeper structural problems, and resistance from various sectors. Clear implementation plans, careful oversight, and ongoing adjustments will be crucial to mitigating these downsides and ensuring that the policies lead to long-term economic and social improvements for Thailand. So, what does the further hold for Thailand? Can the different political parties join to bring Thailand back to the economic growth that has been known for in the past? The future of Thailand's economy hinges on addressing both immediate challenges and long-term structural issues, as well as the ability of different political parties to collaborate. To understand the potential trajectory, here's a factual analysis. Current economic challenges. Thailand faces several significant short-term and long-term problems. High household debt, close to 90% of GDP, reduces consumer spending and makes the economy more vulnerable to financial crises. Aging population will strain the labor force, pensions, and healthcare systems. By 2030, about 30% of Thailand's population will be over 60 years old, further exacerbating this issue. Income inequality remains high, with a Gini index of around 35.5, as of recent data. The wealth gap could hinder long-term sustainable growth. External dependencies. Thailand is heavily reliant on exports and tourism, sectors sensitive to global economic shocks. Export growth has been sluggish, while tourism faces challenges like over-tourism and environmental degradation. Climate change. Thailand is highly vulnerable to extreme weather events, which threaten agriculture, infrastructure, and public health. Potential for political collaboration. Historically, Thailand's politics have been polarized between pro-military and pro-democracy parties, complicating long-term planning and reform efforts. However, recent developments suggest some room for optimism. Paetongtarn Shinawatra's government has prioritized policies that could appeal across the political spectrum. For example, tackling household debt and reducing energy prices are popular moves that address the concerns of both rural and urban voters. Coalition building. Thai politics often operate through coalitions. If Paetongtarn's government successfully manages this, particularly with centrist and reformist parties, it could create more stable governance. However, the current coalition's fragility, due to differences in economic ideologies, remains a challenge. Proactive diplomacy. Thailand's focus on proactive economic diplomacy could help build stronger international relationships, attracting foreign investment and boosting trade. A united political front could capitalize on these opportunities. Key opportunities for growth. Green and digital economies. The government's plan to shift toward green and digital sectors aligns with global economic trends. The push for electric vehicles, EVs, and the digital economy offers potential for high growth if properly managed. The digital economy, which contributed around 15% of GDP in 2023, is expected to grow. Policy supporting digital startups and technology innovation could transform Thailand into a tech hub for Southeast Asia. Tourism recovery and diversification. If the government successfully manages the tourism sector post-COVID-19, Thailand can maintain its status as a leading global destination. Diversifying tourism into areas like ecotourism and medical tourism, with Thailand's strong healthcare system, can reduce reliance on mass tourism. Infrastructure investment. Continued investment in mega transport projects, including high-speed rail and digital infrastructure, can stimulate economic growth by improving connectivity, both domestically and regionally. Education and labor market reform. Addressing the skills gap is critical for Thailand's long-term growth. Reforming the education system to align with the needs of a modern economy, particularly in tech and engineering, can help boost productivity and innovation. Regional integration, ASEAN. Thailand's central location within ASEAN makes it a key player in Southeast Asia. Strengthening ties with neighboring countries and capitalizing on free trade agreements, e.g., the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership or RCEP, can enhance its role in global supply chains, particularly for sectors like automotive, electronics, and agriculture. Challenges to collaboration. However, several factors could hinder political cooperation and economic recovery. Political instability. Thai politics have a history of coups and protests, often triggered by deep ideological divisions. If these divisions resurface, they could derail economic reforms and deter foreign investment. Resistance to tax reforms. Efforts to restructure taxes, particularly wealth distribution measures, may face opposition from powerful business interests and wealthier political factions. Public dissent over short-term policies. Some policies, like the digital wallet scheme and energy price reductions, might lead to public dissatisfaction if they do not provide sustainable benefits or cause inflation. Can political collaboration drive economic growth? In theory, Thailand's political parties have common ground on several urgent issues: resolving household debt, supporting SMEs, modernizing agriculture, and transitioning to greener technologies. These issues impact a wide range of constituencies, and collaboration on them could promote stability and growth. However, the historical pattern of fragmentation and short-lived coalitions may complicate sustained progress. Success depends on key factors. Compromise on divisive issues, reaching middle ground on contentious topics like tax reform and handling the informal economy will be essential for creating long-term growth. Effective governance. The ability of the government to manage public finances while balancing short-term populist policies with long-term structural reforms will be critical. External economic conditions. Global market conditions, especially demand for exports and tourism, will heavily influence Thailand's ability to recover economically. A more unified political approach will strengthen the country's resilience in the face of global challenges. Conclusion. The future of Thailand's economic recovery will largely depend on whether its political parties can set aside deep-rooted differences and work together on core economic issues. While Paetongtarn Shinawatра's government is making strides with policies aimed at fostering short-term relief and long-term growth, political stability and effective implementation will be key. If successful, Thailand can regain the economic growth it has been known for, leveraging opportunities in the green economy, digital transformation, tourism diversification, and regional trade. However, persistent political divisions and resistance to necessary reforms could limit the scope of these initiatives. A poll conducted by the National Institute of Development Administration, NIDA, revealed a general lack of confidence in Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra's government. The survey, titled Confidence and Concerns Regarding Prime Minister Unging's Government, gauged public opinion on the government's ability to manage the country and associated concerns. When asked about their confidence in Paetongtarn's ability to address national issues, 35.42% expressed low confidence. 28.17% were moderately confident. 22.52% had no confidence at all. 13.13% expressed strong confidence. 0.76% had no opinion or were uninterested. Regarding concerns about the government, 36.03% were worried that the administration might fail to meet its promises. 32.14% cited Paetongtarn's age and limited political experience, as well as concerns over Thaksin Shinawatra's influence, which could lead to legal challenges regarding party control. 24.89% feared that mismanagement could result in corruption. 21.76% expressed concerns over poor governance leading to a crisis. 21.53% were concerned about potential political instability due to anti-government protests. 18.85% worried about opposition from anti-Thaksin factions. 18.63% had no concerns at all. 14.73% feared the possibility of a coup. 11.83% were worried coalition parties might attempt to remove Paetongtarn. 10.08% feared the opposition could bring down the government. 0.46% did not respond or were uninterested. On the issue of Thaksin Shinawat's influence on the Pheu Thai party during Paetongtarn's term, 40.23% believed it negatively affected the party's popularity. 33.29% felt it had no effect. 22.21% saw it as having a positive impact. 4.27% did not respond or were indifferent. What can Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra do to change the Thai people's concerns about the government? To address the Thai people's concerns and improve confidence in her government, Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra can take several strategic actions. 1. Transparent communication and accountability. Regular updates. Provide frequent and transparent updates on the progress of key policies and reforms. Address both successes and setbacks openly to build trust. Public engagement. Hold regular town hall meetings or forums to engage directly with citizens, listen to their concerns, and provide clear responses. 2. Address immediate economic concerns. Debt relief. Accelerate efforts on debt restructuring to provide relief to households and businesses, while ensuring the approach is fair and effective. Support SMEs. Implement targeted support programs for SMEs to improve liquidity and help them navigate economic challenges, such as easier access to credit and tax relief. 3. Strengthen governance and anti-corruption measures. Anti-corruption initiatives. Enhance anti-corruption efforts by strengthening regulatory frameworks and increasing oversight. Establish independent bodies to investigate and address corruption allegations. Efficiency improvements. Streamline government processes and reduce bureaucratic red tape to improve public service delivery and governance. 4. Focus on effective policy implementation. Clear roadmaps. Develop and communicate clear roadmaps for implementing major policies, such as the digital wallet scheme and energy price reductions, with measurable milestones and timelines. Pilot programs. Initiate pilot programs for new policies to test their effectiveness and make necessary adjustments before wider implementation. ***5. Address Thaksin's influence. Clarify independence. Clearly articulate the government's stance on Thaksin Shinawatra's influence to reassure the public about the administration's independence and focus on national interests. Rebuild trust. Foster an image of political and administrative independence by promoting a governance style based on merit and transparency, rather than personal or party affiliations. 6. Enhance economic stability and growth. Diversify the economy. Invest in diversifying Thailand's economic base to reduce dependency on vulnerable sectors like tourism and exports. Focus on green and digital economy sectors. Infrastructure investments. Continue and expand investment in infrastructure projects to stimulate economic growth and improve public services. 7. Promote social welfare and inclusivity. Social safety nets. Strengthen social welfare programs to support vulnerable populations, including the elderly and low-income families. Inclusive policies. Ensure that economic and social policies are inclusive and address the needs of various demographic groups to promote social cohesion and equality. 8. Strengthen democratic processes. Political stability. Promote stability through strengthening democratic institutions and processes, ensuring that governance is transparent, accountable, and responsive to public needs. Conflict resolution. Address political and social conflicts through dialogue and negotiation to prevent unrest and build a more stable political environment. **9. Leverage international support. Global partnerships. Seek support from international organizations and partners to gain credibility and access additional resources for development projects. Economic diplomacy. Engage in proactive economic diplomacy to enhance Thailand's global standing and attract foreign investment. *10. Monitor and adapt. Feedback mechanisms. Implement mechanisms to regularly collect and analyze public feedback on government policies and performance. Use this data to make informed adjustments and improvements. By taking these actions, Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra can work towards alleviating public concerns, rebuilding confidence in her administration, and fostering a more stable and prosperous Thailand. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel for more content. We value your input, so if you have any thoughts or feedback, please leave a comment in the section below. We encourage respectful and thoughtful discourse and appreciate your contribution to a positive discussion. Thank you for watching. Disclaimer: this video is intended solely for discussion and informational purposes. It does not aim to defame or make any anti-government statements. The content is meant to foster constructive dialogue and provide an overview of various perspectives. We strictly prohibit spam, hate speech, or derogatory comments directed at any Thai party or individual. All comments should adhere to respectful and thoughtful discourse. Thank you for your understanding and cooperation.